So in the last video, we saw a bottom sheet. Now in this video, we will be seeing a date picker, a custom adaptive date picker that will be different in iOS and in Android. Now you can connect with me on TopMate as well. Go to this 15 minutes free discovery call and book a slot. So we will create, I have not opened all the emulator or simulators here because my machine is too slow. So I will show you results in the end, but we will be following the similar process that we followed while creating the bottom sheet. So we will create a folder called DatePicker, and inside that we will be creating a Dart file that will be adaptive DatePicker. Okay, and this is the widget, or this is the function that will be exposed to your library or to your widgets. So we will create a function called void show adaptive DatePicker. And what all we need in general terms, generally, if you have worked already with date pickers, then you would probably know that it generally has an initial date, which is highlighted, a minimum date and a maximum date, right? Both iOS and Android style date pickers have these things. So we will be doing the same thing. We say that these three things are required, and we are giving the type as DateTime because that is the one which is required by the widgets. So initial date, minimum date, and maximum date. Okay, so these are the three things. Now again we'll use the same. We will determine whether it's iOS platform or not. Okay, and then based on that we will return that specific widget, or we will call a specific function. Like in here we'll say, if it's iOS, open Cupertino DatePicker. Okay, otherwise open material DatePicker. Fine. And then we want to also carry forward these three things: initial date, minimum date, and basic structure is ready, which is very similar to bottom sheets. We'll create these two functions. So Cupertino DatePicker. Okay, and then we want to supply. How do you want to do that? Do you want required or not? Because these are internal functions, we want to, have them our way. All right. So we will remove this required. Similarly, we will create another function which will be material DatePicker. Okay, so most of that work is done. No, nothing like that. So let's do the Cupertino this time. Show Cupertino model pop-up. Again, the similar stuff that we did in the last video. Let's use Cupertino DatePicker. Okay, and then there will be a function, and this function is going to have a DateTime object. So we will say DateTime. Now it depends on us. What do we want to do with this? Okay, we will supply minimum date. Okay, and what is the type of this? DateTime, which we have already captured. So minimum date will go here. Maximum date, okay, maximum date can go here. And then for initial date, initial date time. Now what does it require? It can be null also. For minimum date, okay, it can also be null. We will simply supply initial date, right? That's it. But initial date cannot be before the minimum date, right? So we need to put a check whether initial date is before minimum date. If this happens, then we don't want to select any of the dates. We just want to keep it unselected. None of the date will be selected. Otherwise, if initial date is after the minimum date, we can happily use our initial date. Okay, so let's try to run it. I will open my iOS simulator. Okay, and then okay, before that we need to call this function as well. So we'll do that work here. In the adaptive list, previously we used to open this bottom sheet. Now this time we will open adaptive DatePicker and we will be supplying the minimum things, right? So what will be our initial date? So yeah, it's because of simulator that my machine is hanging. Initial date will be DateTime dot now, which is current time, and then I would like to add a duration of 1 day. Okay, what will be my minimum date? So I will keep minimum date as current date, current time, and for maximum, let's say I want to add 7 days to my current date so that I have a range of selecting date between minimum and maximum. Now I will run it and we will wait. So I will click on DatePicker and you see something has come from bottom and it's hardly visible. I click outside or I press escape, it goes again down to the bottom. So something is wrong, yes. So there are two things wrong. First, it's not visible. Second, it's too lengthy. It's too long, right? This is not generally we see in normal applications, which are native iOS applications. So what we will do, it's a simple solution here. We will wrap this Cupertino DatePicker in a sized box, okay, and we will give it a height of 216. This is some height that I have figured it out, looks good. And then yeah, we can give a background color as well. So a background color white, fine. And I just restart the application, click on DatePicker, and boom, that's it. We have this time. You see, the minimum date is today. The initial date, if I close this, the initial date is day tomorrow, and max date is 7 days limit, right? So you can't go beyond that. It will basically, if I try to go beyond that, it will not allow me basically, right? Otherwise I can select any date. Fine. And if I want to go before today, so basically that is also not allowed. Fine. So this is about Cupertino DatePicker. Now there is one more thing that you can do here is that you can use 24-hour format if you want to. So now the times has changed, the display of time has changed. So yeah, I will close this simulator because it's slowing down my machine, and I will open the Android device because we are going to move to Android type of DatePicker, and that would be pretty easy. I mean, it's very easy to work on that. Okay, we'll just code it. Just remove this here. I will show you the output later. Okay, fine. So here what we will do is, in case of material, we will say show DatePicker, okay, and it will require context. So context, and then it will also require initial date, just like that. So initial date, it will require first date because it doesn't have attribute of minimum date, but it works same. So minimum date and last date, which will be our maximum date. So I will run this application now again, I will click on material date picker, and it's going to show me the material date picker like we are used to see in Android phones. And then obviously we can change this date, and then how far we can go. So we can go only to 2nd of August because that's 7 days from today, and that was our limit. And this is a different box, so the whole functionality is being handled by this date picker. And yeah, that is it for this video. See you in the next video. Bye bye.